Welcome to You and I Hot Takes. Today we have Aaron and David with me. We'll be going over the topics of, is Tom Brady the GOAT? Does Barry Bonds deserve to be in the Hall of Fame? Best shooter in the NBA? College football playoffs? And who is the greatest of all time in the NBA? So we'll start off with you. Is Tom Brady the GOAT?
Yes. It's really clear to me. Tom Brady, in my opinion, is the top of the charts when it comes to NFL quarterbacks. In terms of longevity, he's been one of the oldest that's ever played the game, and he's still playing. He's still putting up all these big numbers. He's appeared in 10 Super Bowls. He's gotten 7 rings out of those 10. He's come up with 81,000 passing yards, and these numbers aren't even like fully current. They were as of last week. So he also has over 600 passing touchdowns. That's the most in the NFL, and plus more records to boot. He's brought this struggling Tampa team into a Super Bowl victory, as well as on the way to his 8th ring. So, to just another little stat, he's one of 4 people to ever beat every single team in the NFL as well. So,
all right, what's your take?
My opinion, he is not the greatest of all time. Now, is he the best winner of all time? Absolutely. Nobody, I mean, it's just statistically, it's a fact. Nobody's won as many rings as he has. Longevity-wise, absolutely, he's the greatest in terms of longevity, like you said. But folks, I'm going to ask you a question at home. Is Bill Russell the greatest NBA player of all time? I'm assuming you all said no, because he's not. But he's the most winning NBA player of all time. He's won 11 rings. He has more rings than he has fingers. But he's still not the greatest of all time because there's players that are better than him. And I think the same can be said about Tom Brady. And this really goes into what do you think is, like, what does it mean to be the GOAT? And I think skill-wise, you need to be the most skilled player of all time if you're going to be considered the GOAT. And you cannot convince me he's the most skilled player. If you watch his highlight tapes, there's a lot of little dink and dunk passes in there. Not saying there's nothing wrong with that, but it doesn't make him the most skilled player of all time. And realistically, he spent his entire career with just some of the most fantastic players around him. Randy Moss comes to mind right away, Julian Edelman, just some of the best receivers. And also, he's always had a great defense, which a lot of players haven't had the luxury of having. And then also, just the number one thing in my mind, Bill Belichick, just quite possibly one of the greatest football minds of all time. He's had him in his back pocket his whole way. So that is why I do not think Tom Brady is the GOAT in the NFL.
Okay. Well, I will say this: skill is an important factor, but let's take a mindset into play. A quarterback has to lead his team down the field, and Tom Brady is one of the best in the game, if not the best, at doing this ever. I don't think there's anybody who can really compete with him. The one name that I would throw into the hat is Aaron Rodgers. He's obviously a very good quarterback, very good at the 2-minute drill, but he's only got 52,500 yards. He's only thrown 424 touchdowns. And he's only gotten 1 Super Bowl ring.
And that's all the time we have for that. I would say Aaron Rodgers has not had as good teams as Tom Brady has, but we're going to move on to, does Barry Bonds deserve to be in the Hall of Fame?
Alrighty, so this is an ethical issue in my eyes. I don't think it's right that he had these substances within him. Whether it was true that he did or not, that's up to speculation, as it was never officially proven. But there is a book being released by 2 San Francisco Chronicle reporters, that being Mark Farinow, Woda, and Lance Williams. And it basically discusses how he took injections of Winstrol and other banned substances. They claim about a dozen people witnessed this, or in some form were witness to this. So in that aspect, I don't think that he should be allowed. I think it's very unethical.
So in rebuttal to that, first of all, I'd say, you kind of touched on it, there's no real proof that Barry Bonds ever did it. Did he? Probably. Like, let's be honest, he probably did. But there's no concrete evidence that he actually did. And I think it's not fair to punish him for that when they never actually figured out that he for sure did it. And quite frankly, I don't care. He is one of the greatest baseball players in the history of the game. If he had steroids in his system, he's still one of the greatest baseball players to ever play the game. There's no question that he was clean for the first half of his career when he was with Pittsburgh. And he had a Hall of Fame career before he ever came to San Francisco. And so even if you want to say he was on steroids for this half of his career, he can't be in the Hall of Fame, there's still a whole half of his career that he should be inducted for. And also, steroids, yes, they make you stronger. Does he hit 73 home runs in one season without them? Probably not. But you still, in baseball, you still have to be able to time the ball within a fraction of a second, swing the bat at the right time, watch the right pitches go by. It's probably one of the most difficult sports you could ever play, and he still did that at the highest level you could possibly do it. And so that is why, in my opinion, he should still be in the Hall of Fame, regardless of the steroids that he's being accused of taking.
That's a good point. What you got to say about that?
Okay, so I do agree with a lot of things you said, especially the skill factor. You need that skill to be able to time that's exactly perfectly to hit that home run. But like I said, in terms of like deontological ethics, you have to follow the law. And if the MLB says that you cannot put these substances into your body, then there's consequences for that. He broke those rules. Plus, it also showed that in 1997 he had a 10% body weight increase, and that was very unnatural. So that's kind of like the point in his career, like you mentioned before. But I also think that you need to go the full way if you want to be in the Hall of Fame. There's a reason why you're in it. You know what I mean?
All right, and they're going to move on to the NBA. Who is the best NBA shooter of all time? We're going to go with you.
So first of all, I mean, the answer is Steph Curry. It's always been Steph Curry, and it will always be Steph Curry. Stephen Curry is the greatest shooter that's ever graced the National Basketball Association. And folks, I'll just give you a heads up. He's going to say Kyle Korver. Here's some numbers. Kyle Korver's career three-point percentage, 42.9%. Steph Curry, 43.2%. So even before you look at any advanced statistics, I mean, Curry's three-point percentage is higher. So just off the bat, simple statistics, that is a better percentage. But then look at effective field goal percentage. So this is more of an advanced stat. It gives extra value to three-point attempts because they are worth more points, clearly. Curry's all-time percentage in this category is 58.29%. That is 8th all-time among any player. That includes centers, forwards, among all players, and everyone in the top 7 is a big man. So you got somebody like Wilt Chamberlain who shot every shot within 5 feet of the basket. Steph's ahead of everybody except for 7 of the greatest big men to ever play the game. Korver's down to 16th in this list.
What you got to say about that?
Alrighty. Well, first thing I will say is you took a lot of the statistics that I was going to bring up, but I do have a reason that I was going to bring them up as well. Curry is a lot younger than Kyle Korver, having 7 years to go in the NBA. And in those 7 years, I predict to see a drop in his productivity as well as his accuracy. He's showing a lot of potential right now, but I don't think he's going to carry on. I think that eventually he's going to fizzle out and he's going to start missing a lot more shots. Having said that, that percentage that you mentioned earlier, it's only off by 6.6%. That's a very small margin to go in 6 years where you're going to have to average that out. So, in that aspect, I still think Kyle Korver's got him in terms of three-point shooting. And in my opinion, Kyle Korver will always be better at the three-point shot. Is he a better point guard? Is he a better guard? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But is he a better shooter? For sure.
So first of all, you said Steph Curry has great potential. He had great potential 6 years ago, 7 years ago.
Of course.
He's solidified himself as, in my opinion, the greatest point guard to ever play. I think he's greater than Magic Johnson. I think you can make an argument, but in my opinion, he's greater. And I see no reason why Steph Curry would start missing all these shots. And quite frankly, if he did, he wouldn't be in the league anymore. Because if he couldn't shoot, then he's still a talented basketball player, but his shooting has always been his go-to. So I don't see that drop-off happening.
All right, so I do believe Steph Curry is the best shooter of all time. I agree with you on that.
Liar.
And then we're going to move on to college football. Should college football playoffs be changed?
So, in my opinion, yes, they absolutely should be changed. 4 teams, it's better than how it used to be. It used to be just the top 2 play in the championship, and that's all there is to it. But 4 teams is not enough. I believe we should go with a 12-team format. And this is not just randomly, pulling it out of nowhere. This was proposed by the Pac-12, Big Ten, and ACC conferences collectively. And what they want to do is have the top 12 teams qualify, or rather the Power 5 conference champions. All 5 of them automatically make it in. So if you win the Pac-12, the Big Ten, you're in. And then also, the highest rated non-Power 5 conference champion also gets in. So you have your Cincinnati that is never going to get in this format. They get in if they win their conference and they're the top rated team. And then that's 6 teams. The next 6 are just the highest rated that didn't win their conference. So the top 4 get a bye. And then the first round is played at home fields, and then that gets us down to 8, and from there on we play quarterfinals and semifinals in bowl games, like they do with the current semifinals, and the 2 teams in the championship, they simply play in the college football playoff championship game as they do it right now.
Okay. So I also agree that it should be changed, but I want to change it in a different way. A lot of you folks at home are going to disagree with this, but just hear me out till the end. Now think March Madness, but think football, right? So we have play-in games until we hit the Sweet 16, and these play-in games are going to have 5-minute quarters. This will give the opportunity for these small teams like you and I and everybody else to go about and actually compete in these big events. I think it'll give a lot more drive to like teams like you and I. It'll give them more motivation to win. On top of that, when you get to the Sweet 16, you go into straight regulation games, 15-minute quarters, just like usual. And then the shorter games would lead to a shorter recovery time until you get into that. So that would kind of weigh out in terms of players getting injured and playing too much, because I know that would be a big concern. There'd also be an increase in revenue, of course, like with attendance to these games as well as TV time. Yeah, and I think it would just allow for a more natural selection and a more diverse selection of this college football playoff.
So you mentioned going to 5-minute quarters.
Yes.
That would be the equivalent of, in baseball, going to 3-inning games. I mean, that's legit cutting off 2/3 of the game and saying, nope, you're not going to be here anymore. We're just going to go with the first third. So that'd be like the winner at the midway point of the second quarter. Whoever's leading, that's the winner. That's just completely gets rid of all the competitiveness and all the legitimacy that goes into this college football playoff. And I believe that if you do that, that just completely takes away from what we're trying to do here. I agree with you, we need to increase the teams, but I think 64 teams, there's just no way you can get that to work. And I don't agree with shortening the quarters. I believe that takes away from the integrity of the game.
So a little bit off topic. Would you and I actually beat Georgia, Alabama, Clemson? Do you think so?
I think with the proper amount of motivation and the proper amount of momentum, I think they got a shot. I think any team's got a shot with the right amount of momentum up behind them.
We'll give them 5-minute quarters and make a field goal, play some defense, and that'd be it.
Hey, that's what I'm saying. These play-in games would be exciting.
That's what I'm saying as well. It completely delegitimizes the whole thing.
I don't know. I don't think so.
All right, we're going to go back to the NBA. Who is the greatest of all time in the NBA? We'll start with you.
So I'm going to say Michael Jordan. And Jordan's dominance was just simply unmatched. He won 3 straight championships with Chicago, left to go play professional baseball, came back and won 3 more. Bulls didn't do anything without him. They went from just absolute dominant team to not even really a real championship contender. He also won 5 MVPs and 10 scoring titles. He led the league in scoring for 10 years in a row. For a full decade, he was the greatest scorer in the league. His career average of 30.1 points per game, no one else has ever averaged more than that. Even Wilt Chamberlain, Mr. 100 himself, didn't average 30.1 for his whole career. And then he also got it done on the other end of the floor. He was an all-defensive team member 9 times. And then simply his mentality was just different. He was unwilling to accept anything besides his absolute best in winning, and it's what he did. I mean, he won all those championships just right in a row. He was a winner. That's all there is to it.
All right.
You know, I'd have to disagree with you there. I think there's only one clear choice. If I had a trash can in front of me, you know what I'd say when I shot this? Kobe.
Oh,
that's all. That's what.
What about LeBron?
No. Hold on.
I said greatest of all time, not greatest Laker of all time.
No. Don't put disrespect on Kobe's name now. Five-time NBA champ, the only player to ever outscore an entire finals team through 3 quarters, and would have been the entire game had he played the 4th quarter. 20 years above 40% shooting percentage. First one went in, last one to leave every single day of his career, and his Mamba mentality. You cannot compete with that. He's the only athlete in history who is known with no context. Everybody knows what his name is. Plus, in the LeBron debate, he has scored more points in one game than LeBron with 81 points.
One game does not define a whole.
And Jordan.
So
Right.
I'll let you go ahead.
Okay, he's just out of it. I respect Kobe for sure,
for
but
sure.
he's not in the top 2. So with you,
He's probably third.
Yeah,
but he's not top 2.
No.
Yeah.
So first thing I would say is championships. Do you think the 6 rings count over LeBron? He has 2 over LeBron.
Yeah, I think that makes a difference.
So what about Bill Russell?
I see what you're getting at. Okay.
All right.
I see what you're getting at. That's a fair point. It's not, like I said earlier in the Tom Brady debate, rings aren't everything.
Right.
But yeah, Jordan's dominance was unmatched while he was at his peak.
Okay, now I'm going to list off a few names here. Sam Jones and Casey Jones.
Yeah,
Sam Jones has 10 championships, one, and then Casey has 8.
Yeah,
So are they not above MJ?
No, they're
above
not.
Kobe, above LeBron?
No, they are not. The same thing with Bill Russell. They were on the Celtics teams that were dominant. It's not above any of those players. No.
I forgot you were here.
So
what's your take on that? On championships?
Well, I think they definitely have something to do with it, but you also have to look at the teams that they were with. You also have to concern yourself with that. Kobe, I will say he had Shaq, but
and
that's
he's
all he
considered
had.
fourth.
That's all he really had.
Fourth
was
all
Shaq.
time. Fourth all time.
Would you let me finish? I think we're gonna run out of time here.
Oh, we got plenty of time.
Oh, we got plenty of time. So, well, then let me just tell you this. I don't think that there's another player that could take Kobe in a one-on-one.
LeBron.
In
his prime.
You're putting Kobe in his prime versus LeBron in his prime. Where's the heart? LeBron has none.
I would take MJ over Kobe in a one-on-one.
Okay, let's bring up defense then. Let's bring up LeBron's defense versus Kobe's defense.
Do you see LeBron's body type?
Yes, he's massive. Yeah. He should be all over the place, but Kobe was all over the place instead. Sometimes he was outscoring, out-rebounding.
Have you seen LeBron in his prime?
If we want
have you seen MJ play in his prime?
I have not. No.
So do you really believe in what you see?
But have you
seen who he played against?
Yeah, I mean, are you trying to insinuate
in his prime, in the MVP race, he was up against Charles Barkley and Clyde Dexter. Do you know who Clyde Dexter is?
Of course, Clyde Drexler.
So,
he played for the
but and then
Trailblazers.
LeBron in his prime, he was going up against Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook. He's playing against guys like Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Yeah, and there were studs now, absolutely,
right.
Maybe more, but you're not going to convince me that they were just a bunch of bums running around in the 90s when you had the bad boys Pistons.
Right.
I mean, it was a more physical game as well if you want to get into that. And you guys are talking about defense. I mean, 9-time all-defensive team. And that's just unheard of for that much of a star player to also get after that much on the defensive end.
So you're saying if LeBron was in MJ's shoes, he wouldn't do as good?
No, I don't think so. I think, would the Bulls still win with LeBron? Probably.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. I mean,
probably do even better.
I mean, they're 1 and they're 2. Like, they're top 2 players that have ever laced up a pair of basketball shoes. I think that Jordan is just 1 step ahead of LeBron.
No. I do agree Jordan's a step ahead of LeBron, but I think Kobe is too. And I think you disrespected him earlier by saying that he was the best Laker of all time. That was very disrespectful. I think the people at home.
I said.
No, you did say it.
I said that. No,
it's on camera.
I said Laker.
You said it.
Kobe is the best Laker of all time. I'll say that.
Okay.
All right. That's all the time we have for today. Thank you guys for joining us, and
sorry
go ahead.
about that. Folks, I think I won the debate, but I mean, my opinion doesn't really matter as much, so let us know who you think won this debate. You can dial 1-800-HOT-TAKES and just go ahead and let us know. And until then, thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next week. Good night.
You know, you're being real disrespectful. Real disrespectful.